but never get your day in court.
And the accusation alone becomes part of your permanent record, even though you were never officially charged. Well, tonight, Team 5 Investigates Kelly Tuthill is uncovering the other side of restraining orders.
We had a short dating relationship briefly in June.
It was only 53 days from start to finish, only on weekends was the whole relationship.
These two men who wish to remain anonymous tell Team 5 Investigates their brief relationships turned into nightmares, where both women filed restraining orders against them.
Did you ever abuse this woman?
No, not at all.
This man we'll call John says, in fact, he had to wrestle a knife from the woman when, feeling rejected, she threatened to harm herself.
Once I broke up with her, that's when everything started happening.
Did you ever abuse her or threaten to abuse her?
Never, never. As a matter of fact, she told me I was one of the nicest people she ever met.
Tim said the woman who sought a protective order against him was mentally unstable.
There was not one single accusation of abuse of any kind, threats or physical, and it was just a bunch of mudslinging.
Once a judge grants a temporary restraining order, there's a hearing 10 days later, and both parties are called to appear. In both these cases, the women didn't show up, so the orders expired.
That should have been the end of it. But Team 5 has learned even if temporary restraining orders lapse or are vacated by a judge, the accused stay permanently on the domestic violence registry,
where it will remain forever.
Even though the court documents say destroy all records.
And that's what the police will see when they run your plate.
Judges, law enforcement, and social service agencies have access to the registry. A mark on the record can impact child custody cases, even employment. Tim has no criminal record, but
I put in for a position with the federal government. The recruiter came back to me and said, well, they decided not to go with you. He goes, I believe it was due to your background check.
The only alternative? Get the order expunged. A landmark case in 2006 paved the way, but the ruling came with a high bar. To clear your name, you have to prove fraud.
It's inherently unfair. Most of these cases are he said, she said cases, and if the plaintiff doesn't appear, you don't get a shot to cross-examine, and proving fraud is going to be all but impossible.
In fact, Team 5 Investigates has found in the past 2 years only 7 of 40 expungement requests have been granted. Some of those were won by attorney Phil Arnell, but most of the time, he says, don't bother.
I would advise to save their money for Christmas presents, that it's not worth their while.
Both Tim and John tried and failed to get expungements after spending thousands of dollars.
But for every claim of injustice, advocates for victims of domestic violence point out that restraining orders save lives, and the vast majority of claims are valid.
For people who have been falsely accused, this so pales in comparison to the domestic violence.
Even so, Mary Laube of Jane Doe, Inc. acknowledges the need for reform.
It does not help us to have these really important life-saving options for victims misused. I mean, I think it's a problem. I think that we need to look at whether those people should be on that registry permanently.
So those who are falsely accused don't stay trapped forever in the system.
I was guilty from the moment this person walked in and filed that order, and it was issued. And I felt like I was the one who was violated or abused.
For Team 5 Investigates, I'm Kelly Tuthill.
We do invite you to talk about your experiences with restraining orders. All you have to do is go to bostonchanel.com and take part in our forum.